Hello and welcome to the Josh Astrop Podcast, episode number 115 with me, Josh Astrop, obviously, because it's all about me. Thank you for downloading this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever you want to do, wherever you want to do it. The podcast is on iTunes. You can also find it on Stitcher and Acast as well if you don't use Apple products or services. If you want to follow us on Facebook or on Instagram, just look for the Josh Astrop Podcast. Nice and straightforward, simple. There is also a Facebook group. It's a members-only group. The idea there is that people that want to find out what's going on in the podcast, and rather than me posting things on Facebook and you only seeing 1 in 10 posts or whatever the percentage is, or you having to subscribe to the notifications and all of that nonsense. Because if you follow a lot of things that you like I do, you end up getting notifications for 30 different things, which then you might as well have notifications on for everything because you can't look at everything. So the group is designed for less social media posts, but more interesting information, more accurate information. So rather than daily posts in the group, there'll be maybe a couple of times a week, 3 times a week, but it'll be more information than you would normally get in a brief Facebook or Instagram post. So if you're interested in that, if you want to find out more, if you want to join the group, just look for it. It's the Josh Astrop Podcast, funnily enough. You do have to ask to join, but that's only so that we can see how many people are in and invite welcome new members and things like that. So just send the invite and then I'll accept it. Yeah, that's it. Wherever you use social media, wherever you use podcasting, just look for the Josh Astrop Podcast. Thanks to everyone that has listened, that has downloaded, that has subscribed, streamed, watched, liked, and everything that you can do on both iTunes and YouTube. The videoed versions are going really well. I've streamlined the recording and editing process, so it's very quick now. So hopefully you're watching that and you're getting something from the YouTube video that you don't get from listening to the audio-only podcast. I know I do. That's why I've done it this way. That's why I'm now offering video for free as well as the podcast, because it gives you more context. When you can see somebody's face when they're talking, you get a better understanding of what they're trying to say. It's the difference in my eyes. It's sort of the difference between texting somebody and talking to somebody. You get so much more context, and more often than not, context is the thing that helps you understand what somebody's saying. So I really get a lot from watching it on YouTube. So it's available there free as well if that's what you're into. Now, this week's guest is a guy that got in touch with me. He had listened to the podcast in the past and was interested in having a chat. And he runs a website, Your Local Musician, and he's been very successful. I think he's done 2.5 years perhaps, and he's getting lots of visits to the website. It's turning out to be very popular. He's providing a lot of free content. He's also a musician, a producer, which he talks about in great detail. So rather than me give you a light explanation up top, have a listen to the episode and find out for yourself. Yes, let's get into it. This is the Josh Astrop Podcast, episode number 115 with George Matthews. Cool. Okay. Well, you're doing an interesting thing, I think, at the moment, because you're in an in-between stage sort of thing about what you're doing with your business and what you've built up. So what are you doing right now? I know we've briefly spoken about it, but
it's weird. It's like it's a mix of a variation of different things. If you go onto the site itself, It's more about educating people on the best sort of plugins and things like that.
Yeah.
From a music production sort of world. And it does get a mix of both, musicians and sort of producers, because that's where I sort of aim the YouTube sort of stuff at, really, to just cast the net as wide as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
And really, like, the way I've built it up to where it is now is through my background in actual digital marketing.
Right. Yeah.
Actual SEO and little bits of PPC. But essentially, I'm doing this all on zero budget, just through trying to be consistent. And that's one thing that I don't feel like a lot of musicians and bands out there actually get. Is the point of consistency.
Yeah.
And consistency doesn't mean putting out a new video once a month and just promoting that. Consistency really means doing new stuff every single day. That's how consistent you has to be. And so the majority of what I do now at the minute is obviously all tutorial based stuff, and the majority of the traffic that comes into the site is obviously through organic, so literally just through Google. And the reason why I kind of got it started was because I had this perfect sort of mix in my head of two things that I was really, really passionate about. One was my actual production, my actual music, putting beats out there and things like that, and trying to build my name out that way. But one thing that I noticed before I'd even started the site is that the majority of music producers are all doing the same thing. It's just putting beat after beat after track after track after track out without any real knowledge about what promotion is. And but I'm not talking like about things just like most people know, like just about just paying for ads and Facebook ads, and those things work. But what I try to get the point across to people like who are on my email list and things like that is I try to say to them, take the time out to learn more skills. That's essentially all you need. And trust me, as an actual internet marketing consultant, as a couple of years back, my standard sort of 9 to 5 was that. I learned so much from that experience of marketing for actual real businesses, local businesses. I did stuff for like local solicitors,
right,
and things like that, and media centres and things like that. This is totally different to putting your music out there. Because one thing that most bands don't realise is that as soon as you put music out there, you are a business. You are. You are. You don't have to have an establishment like this to be considered a business. You are a business. I do all of this out of my third bedroom. And I'm doing it 8-9 hours a day. And just having sort of a brand out there, that is a business. You have to think in a business manner. And you can't just say, this is my hobby, because you're going to be treated in such a different way. You're not serious. You're not serious. And so the point that I try to make to my email list is learn other skills. I try to introduce things like SEO to them and learning it and trying twisting their mind in a way that if I learn this skill, it can get my number one passion to a certain point. So you might be a mastering engineer or something like that. Well, people within your area need mastering services. And so it's and a lot of musicians just they don't know this marketing side. It's just this is my skill. How do I get it out to other people? And they're kind of really doing it blindly. And just hoping their name gets out there, and that does work for a lot of people. But if you're quite, I don't know, like you're quite introverted like me, like the majority of the time I am extremely introverted. I have to, like I do more so this year. I've been putting myself on camera a lot more because I have to be an extrovert to really get to make people want to listen to me. I can't hide behind a camera like I can't do all that. And so I've started to put myself out there in a lot more of an extroverted way. But if you are an introvert, options like SEO and email marketing, you don't have to talk to anyone.
No.
You don't have to talk to anyone. It's just organic listings. And if you are a mastering engineer, then it's teaching the practice behind actually doing SEO for your sites.
Right.
So it's so like you know, this information is out there.
Yeah.
It is out there in other places. I'm not the only one that's doing this. I've just sort of focused it towards musicians and music producers, and just to make them aware of that.
Yeah.
And to know that there is another way. You don't have to be behind a pub, you know, like behind a pub anymore, shotting CDs.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore. So it's just, if you would just take a period out of your time to learn new stuff, even just a month out of your time. You may be a really dedicated musician or a music producer. Just don't make beats for a month. Don't write a song for a month. It's always going to be in there. You're not going to lose it.
Yeah.
Just use that month to learn another skill.
Yeah.
A promotional skill like that, like SEO.
Yeah.
And and you can come back with a different enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And with a new set of skills that can actually start getting people, you know, looking at your stuff through implementing these strategies. And it's the lack of marketing knowledge that these musicians have that literally all I'm doing is trying to make them aware of that. And so it is just all really about trying to give value to musicians and music producers.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the way I do it is the right way. I'm just saying there is a way.
It's one of the ways.
It's one of the ways.
Yeah.
And if you don't like what I say, then don't listen to me.
Yeah.
If you like what I say, try it out.
Yeah. Some people. Yeah. It's natural, isn't it? Some people work better in one style than they do another way. It's just, but you have to try that before you work it out.
Exactly.
And you've got the experience in both marketing and being a producer.
Yeah.
You've just combined the two in an effective way.
Yeah.
Which is what everyone's trying to do. If you're a producer or you're making music, people. I mean, artists. I think as soon as you start talking about business, they tend to recoil a little bit. Like, oh no, I'm an artist. I'm an artist.
Not a business.
But yeah.
It's those people. It's the independents that inspire me. It's the independent musicians, the people that get out there just because they do. You know, you need to have a team in this sort of stuff. If you're not willing to learn these other things, then you need to build a team around you.
Yeah.
To do it. You know, that's one way of doing it. If you just want to concentrate on the art, but then you've got to focus on paying people.
Yeah.
And and musicians are skint.
Yeah.
And they don't want to pay for anyone. They don't want to pay for anything.
Exactly.
So it's at this point, I'm slowly starting to bring in, you know, one or two people because I've taken that time.
Yeah.
I've taken that time to learn skills that would take my number one passion elsewhere.
Yeah.
You don't I remember back when I was in sort of college, really. So we're talking maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago now, something like that.
Yeah.
I used to be the same as everyone else that was there. I used to be very, very quiet. But the thing is about me sort of being quiet. I'm maybe quiet out here.
Yeah.
But I'm not quiet in here.
Yeah.
Because what I'm really doing is I had this natural sort of skill of observing people.
Right.
Of really trying to understand how they talk and what they sort of search for.
Yeah.
And that's all SEO is.
Yeah.
And it's understanding how people think, what they search.
Yeah.
I truly think, because, you know, if you master that skill, then and you take your mastering engineer service, you know, to the top of Google, that's obviously going to bring you so much more than sitting around hoping that some label finds you.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, you know, that does happen for some people, but it doesn't happen for the majority.
Yeah.
And it is all about the independent these days. That's the way it's sort of going. You've got, if you're a producer, you've got, and you want to shop beats, and you want to just put your beats out there, you've got to remember that you're not just serving your local community anymore. You're serving the entire world.
Yeah.
And those sort of real marketing skills come into play in that. And there's two sort of levels of SEO. There's local. So for a local establishment, all you'll really ever want to rank for are things like Rehearsing Studio Northampton or Rehearsing Studio Northamptonshire, which is a much wider net.
Yeah.
So that's what you're sort of going for.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be to the best in the country to make a living out of this.
Yeah.
You really don't. Like, you just need to be the best in your sort of area.
Yeah.
But with things like music producers, because things like that aren't really attributed to one certain area, you are servicing the entire world. And there's two different levels, obviously. So there's the local side, so you might search for something like Rehearsal Studios Northampton, but then there's the maybe like UK based side, or even like on the global side, where you just might use that search engine to search for something like music producers or how to make this kind of beat.
Yeah.
And like that's content marketing. Those are the things that obviously that pull in. That's where you're really getting people from all different sorts of angles.
Yeah.
And that's where things like your email lists come in.
Right.
To really make to really keep on bringing those people back, because necessarily a lot of these businesses that do 200,000 hits a month, 500,000 hits a month, that's not all new visitors. They're not getting new people every single time.
Yeah.
You have to also master the art of bringing people back.
Right.
I've always said that I don't like the term customer.
Right.
I like the term fan.
Yeah.
And like, because fans are obviously the people that, you know, if they love what you put out so much, they'll buy everything that you put out.
Yeah.
They'll buy everything that you put out. And it's always been my belief that I don't need to reach 100,000 people with this. I need to reach 1,000 true fans. And that's it.
Yeah.
The 1,000 true fans
Yeah.
is, you know, that's an unbelievable sort of concept when you think of it. And if you really break it down, if you want to make a six-figure salary out of that, don't forget, always keep in mind that you're servicing the entire world. 1,000 people out of the entire world. What's that?
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah.
But if you can get each one of those 1,000 people to pay you £100 for a period of a year, that's 100 grand.
Yeah.
That's a six-figure salary.
Yeah,
I can live on that.
Yeah, and I've spent £100 on something before, many times, so it's not outside of the realms of possibility, is it? Yeah.
No, it's complete. It's like it's just your local musician is all about bringing those realizations to people. Really, and it's just this information is out there in other ways, but it's obviously focused to just different markets.
Yeah.
There's nothing really that original about what I'm doing. It's just, yes, it does build some sort of personal brand. In some sort of way in the local sort of community, and you know, with people, like the majority of the traffic that I get is from Germany and Poland. So I'm a lot more like the site is a lot more well known in Germany and Poland and the US. Yeah. Like not a lot from the UK.
Oh, okay.
Really, hardly anything, to be honest. Oh. So it does about 25 to 30,000 a month, and maybe about, I think the last time I checked my like analytics and actual reports, about 6% of that was from the UK.
Okay. Yeah,
so, but 6% out of the grand total of 30,000. Still a few people.
Yeah. That's still a significant size, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, well, what I want to know as well is what led you down this path? Did you study music at uni or college, or have you always done music, or how did that work?
I really started doing music when I was 9, and I'm 26 now. So obviously I've done it for a long time now, really. And considering that I'm still so sort of young, I still think of myself as a baby. I still do. But from 9 to 26 is a long time. It's a long time, so I consider myself some sort of veteran in it. A little bit. Even though I'm still so young. And doing the business like this, it is. I have really, from when I started, I was a completely different person to what I am now. So it has matured me in a lot of different ways. And I really started it because obviously I was just like any other music producer or musician like a couple of years back. I've had my flops.
Yeah,
I've put tracks out there that for a while, like at the time they just circulated around my college and things like that, or just around my local community, and got ripped to shreds. Like literally, like to the point where I felt depressed. I really did. And this is just like kids of that age, man. They can be just so fucking cruel. But I'm glad those experiences happened. because it made me sort of realise that I don't need other people to make a success out of this.
Right.
Whereas most musicians do rely on their bandmates.
Yeah.
And things like that. They do rely on that. Whereas I always wanted to be independent from really seriously from the age of about 16. So it's like, that's a good 10 years now.
Yeah.
And what sort of led me down this path is I dibbled in SEO and building websites from when I was about 15. But never really took it seriously.
Yeah.
It was just like another little hobby. And that
Yeah.
did it maybe once a month.
Okay.
And just fiddled around with websites. And so I always had that skill and that little bit of knowledge in the back of my head, even though obviously music was 95% of what I was doing and the websites was literally 5%.
Yeah.
But I was learning a lot of information that I wish I had applied sooner. And it was sort of those experiences in sort of college where I really did get ripped to shreds, that my confidence as a musician and as a music producer just literally just went down the pan.
Yeah.
Because I've always had low self-esteem with it.
Right.
Until obviously a couple of years ago, I always knew that I had this mad passion. All my best friends are all like music producers. Obviously, I all think they're better than me.
Yeah.
I all do.
Yeah.
But one thing that I started to realise at that age is that it's all subjective.
Yeah.
It is all subjective.
Yeah.
It does. There is no way that you can turn around to me and say that Jimi Hendrix is the best guitar player in the world.
No.
You can't.
No.
Yes, he may be technically the best. You know, he's going, but someone else doesn't like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Someone else prefers Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
I prefer Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Got, you look wonderful tonight.
Okay,
Tattooed
there you
around
go.
there.
Yeah.
And like Eric Clapton is the big, like the reason why I started playing guitar.
Okay.
And it's just like it's all subjective. Like I know why people think Jimi Hendrix is the best.
Yeah, you can understand that. Yeah,
I can understand why, but
you
that
don't have to
doesn't
agree
mean
with
that
it.
he's the best.
Yeah,
You cannot say that. It is all subjective. You cannot say that hip hop is better than metal.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, generalizations are rarely true, are they? And someone, well, lots of people probably do think Hendrix is the best guitarist. Lots of people think Eric Clapton is, and then some people also think that they're the worst in the world.
Exactly.
Now they're both right because to them they are, but
exactly.
so there you go.
Personally, I think there's two similarities. Hendrix, I think there's two people I compare quite much: Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
Technically, I love Stevie Ray Vaughan a lot more, but I think Hendrix was an amazing songwriter.
Yeah.
Like a brilliant songwriter.
Yeah.
And like I slowly started to realise those sorts of things. And
So sorry to interrupt. So you started on guitar, did you?
well, yeah, I started playing guitar when I first sort of picked one up when I was about 8.
Okay.
But it was just there.
It just in the house.
It was just sort of in the house, and I
Okay.
twiddled with it until eventually, when I was about 9,
Yeah.
I picked it up again.
Yeah.
After it had just been in the side of the room for months, picked it up again, and I learnt a C chord. And
There you go.
and my dad's one of my dad's best friends called Little John. It's because he's little. Called Little John. He showed me how to play that C chord. And then obviously a couple of weeks later, he showed me how to play a D chord.
Okay.
Then G, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and slowly those songs started to turn into like old Beatles classics.
Yeah.
And then I slowly started to pick up some rhythm. So I was learning the compositional sort of side first.
Yeah.
And when music production came in, like a couple of years later, all of the things that I do now have happened in stages.
Yeah.
I've not just picked one up and be like, right, I'm 100% dedicated to this. I usually pick it up, put it down for a minute, pick it up again, put it down for a minute, then pick it up, and then gradually I'll be like, yeah, I know enough now. And I'll just go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And so I learned the compositional side before I'd even done like music production before. And there was something about being that term, musician, something about that. And basically, I picked up such a obsession with playing the piano and playing guitar that like the majority of hip hop beats are sampled and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that is a great art.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like that, like that is an instrument within itself. Sampling that is an art. But because I did the compositional side first before production, playing everything with anything that I compose,
Yeah.
I have to play it.
Yeah.
I have to play it. It's just like I feel like I've not achieved something if I do some sort of sampling. Even though you know, a lot of my just producer friends who are just sort of producers before they're musicians.
Yeah.
I'm a musician probably before I'm a
Yeah.
producer, but like they love the sample stuff, but I prefer sort of the stuff that is completely 110% me.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I just got in and I just picked up, started the site, because then I thought I this other side interest was starting to grow within me, and then I saw you can hear a lot of people say this, but you ever seen the film The Social Network?
Yeah.
About Facebook.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I obviously at this time the old internet marketing and websites and stuff like that was still sort of a side thing. I still knew bits about it. I had a few like dummies books and things like that.
Yep.
And just sort of doing little bits of affiliate marketing, but like it didn't go anywhere. Of course, because I was just touching it once a month.
Yeah.
And but then I saw that film, and I was just like, and obviously it's all about the story of Facebook. And you look at what Facebook is now. And like you cannot tell me that's not inspiring.
Yeah.
And just an absolute sort of juggernaut.
Yeah.
And then, you know, from there I started to look into things like development and how to actually build a website from scratch, how to build systems from scratch.
Yeah.
And delving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it.
Yeah.
And eventually I figured out that I wasn't that great at development. Like I was literally, because it's one of the like web development and software development is such a thing that you need to be 110% dedicated to it to be great at it.
Yeah.
You cannot do something like that and do music at the same time. I don't think personally. I'd love someone to prove me wrong, because I love being proved wrong. Literally, I love people smashing the shit out of my concepts. Because it shows me that people that I'm challenging minds and things like that.
Well, there's a reason why like coders and developers have a as a stereotype that they're just working 24 hours a day. Because that's what it takes.
That's because that's what they are. And eventually I thought to myself, I was like, right, I can I got to the point where I was still doing my music, but then I started to get those chats from mum. You know, the chats from mum. And she always, you know, both my dad and my mum always supported whatever I wanted to do. Like they'd never ever told me not to do it. And but there was always strong on the point that have a backup plan. Have a backup plan. You're always going to pursue your music because that's what you love. But you need some sort of way of actually making money. And then obviously I thought, okay, right, I'm getting into this SEO stuff now, and like building websites and things like that. And what do you know? I thought, right, uni's coming up. I'm coming to the end. I'm getting uni's coming up, and I need to focus my time on some stuff. So I've essentially I went to uni for one reason, to DOS. But not to sort of DOS in the way that you would think. I did the music production stuff because obviously I knew it so well. So I just sort of coasted through the entire thing. And the reason why I was doing that at the time is that I needed 3 years where I could just sit down and learn some stuff and obviously get my knowledge going, because I wanted to learn how to market a music business at that time. And I was learning this time in my stuff, and I was doing music in the days at college. So I had loads of time, and 3 years is obviously a long time to learn that sort of stuff. And eventually, you know, that interest within the marketing side just went up and up and up and up. And then at the end of uni, I had two choices. I was like, I can rather be one of these people that doesn't have a 9 to 5 and literally does just shop whatever they've got out there. But that was too scary for me. That was just too scary. I didn't like the probability of possibly sleeping on the street.
It's risky. I mean, taking that leap is because you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen.
But then you're like, at this time, I was like people like Ed Sheeran was a myth. Like, and when you think of what he went through, it's like that is the definition of it. That is like he moved from Suffolk to London when he was 16, and literally slept on the street.
Yeah.
Sofa surfing. That is a musician through and through.
Yeah.
And people sometimes people do it in that way.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And like that's why it doesn't matter what way you do it in. But I was like, I slowly started to discover that I could start to do something sitting on my ass at home.
Yeah.
And actually start getting to people, getting people to sort of listen to me. But then I started to realise the whole sort of business side, that you need to provide value to people more.
Yeah.
The easiest way to achieve your goals is to help other people achieve their goals.
Right.
Like, I hear that all the time.
Yeah,
and it's so sort of true.
Yeah.
The people that come onto Your Local Musician,
I think that's the first time we've said the name of your website.
is it? yourlocalmusician.com.
Yeah, in ages.
Done.
No, that's good. Yeah.
So people that come on to Your Local Musician come with all different variants of sort of intent. But essentially, if you have to go onto the site, I'm all about getting your email address.
Right.
About getting your email address.
Yeah.
And because my goal isn't to sell you something straight away.
Yeah.
My goal is to make you a fan of the education.
Yeah.
And then to say, look, is to teach you something in some sort of way. I do a lot of stuff on things like tape saturation.
Right.
And comparing the differences between analog tape saturation and obviously digital tape saturation.
Yeah.
And saying to people, this is what it is, this is what it's about, this is the best way to achieve it within your door.
Yeah.
And here's a discount code.
Yeah.
And that's where the transaction eventually comes from.
Yeah.
And it is quite a long rooted sort of thing. And that's generally sort of what it's about.
Yeah, I think that's it. I prefer those sorts of things when you go to a website and, obviously they want to try and get your email address to get you involved. And sometimes it can feel like, I think the art there in running a website that does that is not being pushy, because at the end of the day, you are giving away loads of stuff for free that people can watch and learn and use themselves, and they don't have to spend any money at all. It's all there for free. But if they want to advance or get that, special bit of kit or whatever it is, or plug in or whatever, then the option's there. So it's like everyone wins out of that transaction. If somebody's there and they can't afford it or they don't want to pay, then they can still get lots of good information. But if they do, they can buy it, and you make a sale and they get something for it as well. So it's like, it does make somebody more of a fan than just someone who comes in and gives you money.
It is really just sort of an educational hub at the minute. But the thing is, with what it is that, and the reputation that I've sort of built myself, with the people obviously that pay attention to me, people on Facebook, people on all within my email list, they know me quite personally now.
Yeah. So how long has the website been going?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
2 years now.
Yeah.
We've got an email list of 7,500 people.
Wow.
So that's built up I'd say that's quite quickly. And this is all organic. None of this, apart from the occasional Facebook ad, but all of this is organic.
Yeah.
All of it is organic. And so we've built up quite a big reach, and people, people within that sort of community now have sent me sort of private messages of just literally just saying thank you.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
That's cool.
And because I'm not doing this sort of thing where I'm putting my music out there and saying that it's better than yours. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm literally just saying, look, I've got this experience in this other sort of side. Try these things out, and obviously within that sort of journey, there's affiliate links and things like that.
Yeah.
And like, so one thing that I do quite a lot is I try to sell the benefits of email marketing,
right,
and building up your fan base.
Yeah.
And building up your fan base and using email marketing as the tool to sort of sell merch and things like that. And obviously the way that I transact with someone on that is when they sign up to the software.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely open about how I do this.
Yeah.
Because the way that I always view it is I don't really care about potential competitors stealing what I do and doing it in their own way. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the greatest example that I like to sort of always give is of I hear this a lot. I can't remember who I hear it from. Is Martha Stewart.
Right.
And you think of who Martha Stewart is. Everyone knows that name.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that name. And think of what she does. And like, obviously she doesn't really air in the UK or whatever, but everyone sort of knows her name. She gives away her best recipes all the time, knowing full well that people can just sort of steal them.
Yeah.
But you can't take business away from Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
You can't, just
Yeah.
because of the personal brand that she sort of built up.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Take exactly what the knowledge that I give, like throughout those sort of sequences and emails and that, and use it in your own way. Because if you take my information, you do something bigger than me, then I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
I don't deserve it, because if I'm that easy to beat, then I just don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And now, in a way that it's sort of gotten to that point, is it can be very. I'm starting to twist the whole thing now.
Right.
Really. So it's been going for 2.5 years, and it's built up some sort of followers. Everyone's aware of what's happening, and they know my production well. They know just the beats that I'm putting out there. And one thing that I always sit back and think to myself now is helping's always been in my blood, and teaching and things like that. It's always been in my blood. But the reason I showed up to the party was to make beats. That's it. That is my number one passion, is making beats. I just wanted to put myself out there in a certain way that people would see me as someone of value.
Yeah, you've built up authority and
and that's what it's all about. So now it's not changing in the website isn't sort of changing in a way that is going to be completely different. Just the structure of it.
Yep.
Just the structure, and I'm really excited about it as well. Is that it's obviously the reason I showed up was to make beats.
Yeah.
So what should I be selling? Beats.
Yeah.
And the audience that it targets is kind of going to twist, but there's one thing that music producers are interested in, is they want to sit at home all day, not have a job, and just make beats.
Right.
And ideally, make money from it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've made a certain amount of money from where it's at right now.
Yeah.
But the core sort of focus is going to slightly twist, and it's going to say, right, this is how I make beats.
Yeah.
I'm making beats, and I'm doing this beat leasing sort of stuff. I've slowly started. If you were to pay attention to, if you were to go on now, you'd notice that the majority of stuff, new stuff, is all about marketing specifically, and not things like plugins and things like that.
Yeah.
So my idea is that because the majority of beat leasing that I've done now is all done privately. Right. All through the people who like on my email list, the people that are music producers as well as rappers and things like that.
Yeah.
It's all done privately. And I slowly started to think to myself, I was like, hold on, I can start getting back in the studio now.
Yeah.
And really start to focus it towards that. So now it's going to be, I shot my beats, and I'm going to teach other producers how to do it as well.
Yeah.
And that's still, that it comes back to that thing of, but you're just, you're just giving away your secrets. And I was like, well, if someone steals them, does better than me, then I don't deserve it.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with, we're all learning from everybody else. Like you said earlier, some of the stuff that you're doing isn't your idea or particularly a new idea. It's just, gathered from here and from here and from here, working it together. It's like we're all doing that because we're all working it out. And what we want to do changes, and what's available to us changes. And how much money we're making changes, which allows us to do other things that we couldn't afford before. So it's constantly changing. So and although it might be slightly different direction doing that than how you started the website, it's also sort of the same thing where you're still providing content and music and beats, but you're also, giving away information, education, which is sort of what you've been doing anyway. Yeah, so it is a slightly different direction, but it's still the same.
Essentially the same sort of model, but is that the past 2 years have all been about testing,
right,
and seeing what works.
Yeah.
And the reason why I've done it over such a long period is that truly that is what it needs. I think is a true amount of period, because as a marketing sort of SEO sort of consultant, dealing with clients and things like that, I've got to, in the past I've had to sort of pay attention to so many different markets, and just truly understanding what people within those markets actually want.
Right. Okay.
How to profile
Yeah.
a certain person, and twisting it in that way is essentially the site's just going to be talking to someone who's exactly like me.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people out there exactly like me that literally just want to, who literally their life's goal is to be in the studio. That's it. Music producers are lab rats. They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's true. Like I don't need to be out on Bridge Street.
No.
I don't need. I've not done that in a while.
Yeah.
And I've not done that in a while. And like truly, where I'm most happy is in my studio. That's it.
Yeah.
And chilling.
Yeah.
And like chilling, making a living off what you actually want to do.
Yeah.
Yes, it is hard to break into the music industry.
Yeah.
It's virtually impossible.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you can't create something from it.
That's it.
And like, audio works.
Yeah.
You're in the music industry.
Yeah. But I'm not. Yeah, but to the person on the street, it's like you're not. People think music industry is number one in the charts or whatever, don't they?
Yeah,
Selling hundreds of stuff. But it's like so many different facets of it.
There's so many different and there's so many different things that you can do, and so I mainly I want to for the future of it. It's all about is that I'm using this audience that I've built up. Yes, it's still technically in the grand scheme of things quite small.
Yeah.
But it is all about the 1%.
That's so funny you should say that it's still quite small, because when you said like 7,500 email list, I'm like that's really good. That's amazing. That's bigger than any account I've ever had. That I used to work in sort of marketing and stuff. So, but I never had any accounts with that many. I was listening to a podcast called How I Built This. I don't know if you've heard of that. How I Built This, really good. But they had Damon John, who started FUBU clothing.
Yeah,
and he was
Dixie to Shark Tale.
Okay,
Shark Tale.
Well, they were talking about that as well. But he was saying how he went from making $200 a day selling clothes that he'd made in his mum's house. He sold it on the corner of a street, and then the interviewer said, and then you made 350 million in a year, and he said, but Under Armour are doing 3 billion this year. And it's like, man, if someone said to me 350 million, you think that's incredible, that's amazing. And it's like, yeah, but 3 billion, but like you say, 7,500 you might feel isn't great, but to me that's like incredible. It's all scale, isn't it?
It is all scale, but like. A lot of people turn around to me and say, see, like, one thing that I'm trying to focus on quite heavily at the minute is YouTube. Yeah. Because YouTube is just absolutely such an intense sort of platform. It's the only platform that actually promotes you.
Okay.
Promotes you. Yeah. When it comes back, when I come back to that thing that I was saying earlier about consistency, that's what, if you start doing this as a business, one word that you want to learn is algorithm.
Yeah.
You want to, and you really want to understand algorithm, and realize how Facebook's algorithm works and YouTube's algorithm works, and YouTube's algorithm works on the back of metrics, and things like. And you have to be feeding it good metrics. And yes, I'm a little bit, I've slipped off in past months, but I'm putting a lot of my focus onto it. About 700, and like that. And a lot of people are about 700 subscribers to that. And obviously, I'm trying to focus my time towards that a lot more. I've got a camera here right now because I'm literally recording what I've done for the entire day.
Yeah.
And it's all about consistency on that.
Yeah.
And so that's one area that I'm sort of trying to sort of go into a lot more. And because once you get to that consistency point, then your videos start popping up in the suggestions box.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've got a couple of videos with about 7 to 15,000 views. Yeah. And they're all just sort of tutorials, and yes, they do earn money off sort of AdSense revenue and things like that. And but no, it is all about the 1%. And people do turn around to me and go, "Wow, 7,500 email subscribers," and I think, yeah, that's fine. Like that, it's fine. But I think truly that someone that has the balls to be able to do this sort of thing on their own is that you're never really that satisfied. No,
and the goal's constantly moving, isn't it? Yeah, when you reach maybe 7,500 was your goal, well, now what? Then there's a bigger goal or there's a different goal. So you're constantly changing that target.
Constantly, it gets bigger and bigger and naturally. And my goal this year with the actual site, so obviously it does about 30,000 hits a month, and it's simply we're going up in increments to get to 50,000.
Yeah.
That's it. And then next year it'll be 70.
Yeah.
And then 100.
Yeah.
And then something like that. So it's setting goals that are attainable. And if your number one goal is to get on the charts, think how attainable that is right now. What have you got to do before that? I mean, like, yes, there are instances where you can just put out a song on YouTube or whatever and it goes crazy viral.
Yeah.
Yes, that does happen, but it doesn't happen for everyone.
No.
And you just put the map out and just and follow the map. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Is you have to do it in increments. So right now we're at 7,500.
Yeah.
That's still not enough to make me a millionaire.
Yeah.
And but the bigger goal is that I could probably get to that point of doing this with music completely independently. I would say, on average numbers, to get to 1 million, I'd probably have to have about 60 to 70,000.
Right.
So that's my goal.
Yeah.
Like, so that's my, and those are big numbers that I'm sort of proud of. And like when people look at some of my videos and go, oh yeah, he's got 7,000, he's got 15,000 views on this. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because I'm not thinking about that video.
No.
I'm thinking about the next one.
Yeah, you've done that and that's gone. You're on to the next thing. Yeah.
Don't get hung up on something that you may put out an EP or something like that, and you might you might get to a certain place on the hip hop charts or on the world charts, and but how long does that last? Yes, that's a great achievement.
Yeah.
But you have to move on from it.
Yeah.
And get on with the next one and be consistent.
Yeah.
Like that happened. Like I've got some friends recently that hit the hip hop charts and actually for the first time hit the worldwide, the big Apple's charts.
Oh, okay.
And I'm still to sort of catch up with them on how that went out. But they've done that on a few occasions. Yes, and it has brought more opportunities for them, and things have slowly started to sort of happen. But the one thing that I'll say to them with my marketing hat on is like taking the musicians a bit aside.
Yeah.
Businessman.
Yeah.
Is you need to do that again.
Yeah.
And not in 3 months.
Yeah.
You have to do that next week.
Yeah.
And like that's how hard you've got to be doing it. And that's the only point that I try to. That's not the only point. Sorry, that's the biggest point that I try to get on with people. You will not go a week and be on my email list, and you will not go a week be on my email list and not get an email from me.
Yeah.
You will get one, all educational.
Yeah.
All educational.
All value. Yeah.
All value. None really. Selling something. Sometimes I do sort of bundle deals and sample packs and things like that.
Yeah.
And but the majority of the time, it's all about providing sort of the value, because the 1% of people already do buy stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all I need.
Yeah.
And that is all I need.
Yeah.
And yes, if it gets to 2%, then great.
Yeah.
But you've also got to know. You've also got to treat the audience well.
Yeah.
That you do build up, because people know shit.
Yeah.
People figure out shit.
Yeah.
And if you're just if the first 6 or 7 emails that they get are all about sales, but you've got a site that's about marketing techniques and things like that, and you're just sending them email, trying to get a sale from them, they're gonna unsubscribe.
Yeah.
They're gonna unsubscribe.
Yeah.
You have to do it in sequences that that are educational. Then say, this is how you do this certain thing that I've been teaching you for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this is the cheaper way of sort of doing it. And it's just trying to build up that audience and look after them as best as I sort of can.
Yeah.
And it's doing good.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it. I mean, to go from nothing to 7,500, you can get stuck in the numbers, can't you? Because I think at the end of the day, you're doing what you want to do. You're getting paid to do what you want to do. subscribers are getting value weekly, if not more often than that, and being able to buy stuff with a discount or whatever. So sort of everyone involved in it is benefiting from that thing. So regardless of how many thousands this and how many likes or whatever, it's like that's a good thing. That's a valuable thing to many people. So I think that's really the win, I think, out of that. From my perspective, it's like you actually, you're doing it. You're doing what you want to do, and people are getting what they want as well. It's really cool to see.
I try to put that point out across a lot. Is that you may be in a 9-5, and but people are always thinking, I need to make that 30 grand.
Yeah.
And it's such a thing that's so far away in their heads, and they just don't know how to sort of get to it.
Yeah.
But then one of my mates that you've had on here as well, Adam Fitch.
Yeah.
I've known him for absolutely years.
Oh, okay.
And obviously I'm noticing that a lot of the things that he's doing recently with the freelance millennial sort of stuff. Yeah. And he kind of puts the same the point across, but to sort of music video producers.
Yeah.
And I always try and put that sort of focus on things that don't focus on the number 30, on the 30,000.
Yeah.
Focus on the 100, and or focus on the 1%. And when you think to yourself, 1,000 out of 7 billion in the world, it's nothing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And you just got one of those people, each one of those 1,000, £100 per customer. That's what you need. Focus on building an email list of 7,500 people, but not all of them convert.
Yeah.
All of them convert, and it's just towards that goal of knowing your numbers. Knowing your numbers. That's one thing that obviously a lot of musicians don't bother with.
Yeah,
is numbers. And knowing, for instance, so if when the site does the final changes to move over to more of the sort of beat leasing platform, in a couple of weeks, 4 weeks, I think, most up, when it sort of switches over, it's gonna do sort of well, and I've done for something like that. You've always got to do the research behind it. This is where things like SEO sort of comes into. So obviously, there's large sort of terms. I'm going for beats for artists.
Okay.
To sort of focus in the organic searches around it. People always tell me in the consultancy sort of world, but that's a term that gets nearly 20,000 hits a month. Isn't that going to be too hard to achieve?
Yeah.
Well, no, because what that tells me is that you're not prepared to put the work in.
Yeah.
And it is hard to achieve.
Yeah.
But just know the promotional ways on to get to where you want to be. Yes, you want to get that 30 grand, but you just need to focus on every sort of person that comes along. Try and get that 100 from them.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do it within 2 days of them coming onto your list.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it that quickly.
You've got to build a relationship.
You've got to build it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And just focus on that part of it. And musicians have so much at their disposal these days. They just do. But I don't think the attitudes of them change.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have in a long time. And
I think you're right. Sorry to interrupt. That's interesting you say that. Like, there are a lot of things at our disposal and at our fingertips. Like you in doing that in your business. Previously, 30, 40 years ago, you'd have needed a studio, an engineer. You'd have needed a website developer, a photographer, a coder, and all these different things, because you can't afford to have all of the systems and equipment that it takes to do all that. But now, that's all on your phone and your laptop.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've brought it all together to make it work. But perhaps some artists aren't seeing that. They're thinking, no, I'm just going to do the music. Whereas you can actually get it all involved and manage everything yourself until you can afford to pay somebody to do it.
One thing I hear from musicians a lot is it makes me laugh every single time, because I kind of understand where they're coming from. Is where, no, I'm not interested in making any money. But you hear that a lot. I'm not interested. It's not what I'm in it for. And that may not be what you're in it for, but you need money to live.
Yeah.
And
wouldn't it be nice to earn enough money to not have to have a job?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to you don't have to want to be a millionaire.
Like you do not have to have £1 million to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like you don't. And like I know that may be sort of confusing. Like I'm fine with having a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
But as long as it means that I can do this for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And that is being rich to me.
Yeah.
Rich in time.
Yeah, not worrying about if you can pay the rent, but being comfortable enough. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
It can be as simple as that. Yeah.
I have at my disposal to say that I can pay myself more.
Yeah.
But you need to also have the knowledge of that this, the money that you make needs to last. And it needs to last. So like if you do hit that 100 grand, then if you, I don't know, say if you're in a 9-5 right now, one of the main reasons why I chose to be sort of a consultant and work for sort of digital marketing agencies is because it was well paid.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I did that research before even finishing uni. I was what job am I going to get?
Yeah.
I want to make some decent money.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do?
You're not in it for the long career. Yeah.
I want to get paid. I want to get a decent pay. And like if at that point it was starting to feel easy to me, so then it's just I'm just going to work to do something that's really sort of easy, and the industry's well paid. Get yourself. Gary Vaynerchuk always says this. Well, I've heard him say this a few times. Is that you need to get a job that pays you the most, but where you have to do the least.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And because one of the things that I was always sort of focused on is that I want to be able to do this job, get paid at a comfortable amount, but still have the energy and brain power to come home and get in the studio and make beats and work on content.
That's it.
And if you're mentally drained, you can't really do that.
No.
And it's there's a lot of sort of factors that you have to sort of take into place when you're a sort of musician. But you just like stage one is if you want to lease beats or if you want to sell just exclusives or whatever, or shop your demo around because you're in a band or whatever, that's fine, do that. But that's not the only skill that you need to survive. And all you need is that 1,000.
Yeah.
That should be your only goal.
Who wrote that? Who wrote the book?
I can't remember, man.
1,003 fans. I haven't read it, but you hear it all the time.
Yeah, you hear that. So I can't remember.
I'll find out. I'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, I should know that. You're totally right, and that really brings it into a realistic. You can hold that in your head. 1,000 people. You can sort of picture how many that is, and that feels like that's possible. I might not have any at the moment, or I might have 100, but it's like I can see that's achievable.
Yeah, it is, and don't be afraid to spend money.
Yeah,
it's like that is the number one thing with musicians as well. If you do hit that point and like you get a decent job, you get a decent job, and let's just say maybe 20, 21, whatever, and right, you don't want high living expenses. Get a flat.
Yeah,
live in a flat. Pay whatever it is, like 400 or 500 quid on your bills and your rent or whatever a month. Yeah. You've got a lot of money left over there.
Yeah.
Really. If you're on 20 grand and saying you're paying 400 or 500 quid to live, realistically you should be left with about 600.
Yeah.
Pound.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that 600 pound? Yeah, you got to pay your food bill, but there's one of you living there.
Yeah.
Or there's two of you living there. You don't need to spend 600 pound over 4 weeks.
No. Yeah, that's it.
Split up your costs.
Yeah.
Split up your costs and just spend money on ads.
Yeah.
Spend money on ads, because if you're trying to do it organically, it may happen. You never want to not have that on the table. It may happen. So never stop, but you need to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Really. And like you didn't start this place off of zero.
No.
Did you? You invested within yourself to build this business.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone's got to do, and start realizing that bands, if you're in a band, now you're running a business, mate.
Yeah.
Because you have a brand, and you have a brand, and that brand has fans, and then you sell merch to those fans. You sell CDs to that fans, putting out regular videos on YouTube and things like that, and Facebook, and people, getting more and more fans, and give value to different people in different ways other than just your music.
Yeah.
A lot more people find me because of tutorials.
Right.
Like, never heard a beat in their life.
Yeah.
And then slowly, but that is the entry point.
Mm.
There's the entry point. They might find one of my videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then they'll find my site. And then they'll find my email list.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's a year later, and they're still there.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they're still there. And like, I would consider that person over that length of time. I look at if they've bought anything or whatever. As long as they've hit that £100, I consider them a true fan.
Yeah.
And it's just all about multiplying that.
Yep.
So if I've got 10 videos that are all have all done 10,000 to 15,000 views, and then guess what I'm going to do next year? I'm going to do 20 videos.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep on putting out more and more and more, because things like a great YouTube channel, it's like real estate investing.
Yeah.
And like, it's there, and it can continually just sort of make you money.
Yeah.
And that's the point where not everyone really has much sort of knowledge of, because yes, it's an art, and you feel a certain way about your art, and like things like selling music. One thing that I've done quite a bit is over actual beats, but selling things like sound effects,
right,
on things like Audio Jungle.
Okay.
If you've ever heard of that, but like you got to squeeze yourself into different markets as well, because things like Audio Jungle is a part of a big company called Invarte,
right,
and they sell and they've got other things called Theme Forest, and basically what this is Theme Forest is skins of designs for websites.
Right. Okay.
And you may have be operating different like content management systems like WordPress or Drupal or things like that, or Magento, and basically you can buy these pre-packaged designs to slap them up on your website, change the colors, change everything around, but it just makes the whole building of a website a lot easier to someone that doesn't know HTML and CSS and things like that, and the hard coding sort of situation. But people within those markets, web designers, things like that, also sometimes need royalty-free sounds. Yeah. And they want to buy them from people where there's going to be no sort of complications and no legal things going on. And you sell certain sound effects on those platforms. Yeah. Like, it's not just all about putting together a beat and hope someone leases it, or putting together a song and hoping someone downloads it from iTunes or whatever. Yeah. There are other aspects to use your skills. Right. And especially if you're a music producer, you're also probably quite good at sound design. Yeah. Really. Yeah. And selling sounds is something, and especially in that manner of royalty-free things, things that get used in people's projects over and over again. So you can sell it multiple times, depending on if you sell like certain licenses. So if you sell exclusive licenses or just plain old lease licenses, they're areas that most producers don't look into. And because obviously they do just want to put music out there, but I also sit back and think, but you want to put music out there and have people listen to it, but like, realistically, what you want to do is just sit at home in a studio. That's what you want to do. Yeah. And that's fine for some people. Yeah. The majority of the people I've met want to do that exact same thing. Yeah. But you just need to figure out ways to actually profit from it. Yeah. Rather than just sitting there making beat after beat after beat after beat after beat. And sometimes the artist doesn't show up to the session. Yeah. It's just the way it happens. Yeah. Musicians are lazy. Yeah. And they just are. I'd love, once again, I'd love someone to prove me wrong from that. Yeah. Because that's one of the reasons why, is depending on like bandmates and things like that, why I didn't want to do that anymore. Right. Okay. Is I wanted to focus on a way to get my creativity and and focus on myself, because I always felt like when I was younger that I was just in the background sort of thing.
Yeah.
But when you at those ages when I was more concentrated on actual sort of hip hop and things like that, and I was into hip hop was my main thing, but I also had this other thing of I loved the piano, I loved like playing the guitar, and if your main inspiration is Eric Clapton, you don't want to play backing guitar, do you? Really? You, in your head, you're thinking, I want to be the lead. I want people to be watching me, sort of thing, because I can do this amazing thing. And everyone has that selfishness in them, I think. And that's one of the reasons why they sort of do it. So like, I eventually got to the point with bands where I was like, I'd openly come back and join one, because I'm doing it at a different stage in my life where I know where I want to sort of go, and got much of a clearer view on how to get something somewhere. And but most importantly, focus on yourself, I think. Right. Focus on yourself and try and create reasons for people to see you differently from somewhere else. If you want to be a mastering engineer, don't try and master, when you're first starting out, don't try and get clients from the UK, because you haven't figured out how to even get clients from your local area. Focus on, start small, get larger. And it happens in stages.
Much like yours thing did, and much like mine did here, podcast and the studio and stuff. It is just small things, believe in yourself and keep working at it. That's about an hour now, I think. That's flown by. That's over an hour. What's the website address?
www.yourlocalmusician.com.
And have you got any music that we can listen to?
Not out there really much at the minute. I've got obviously SoundCloud pages and things like that.
Cool.
That's all that's really out there at the minute. So that is obviously, I don't know like the handle, but I'm just Your Local Musician.
Okay, cool.
On SoundCloud. There's bits of like beats and things on there and everything like that. But basically what I've done with that is there was more out there, but I've sort of stripped it back for now because of this launch. With the Beat Loosen sort of launch. So within about 4 weeks, obviously you can still go into the SoundCloud, but within about 4 weeks, Your Local Musician is literally just going to be all about me as a producer and educating people on how to sort of do it as well.
Awesome. That's cool, man. Well, I think what you've done with the site is impressive. And the fact that your sites are set much higher than where you currently are is that's good to see, that sort of determination, I think. And don't gloss over your victories, 7,500. It's easy to if you'd have said to yourself 2.5 years ago, you're going to have a website, you're going to have this 1,000 thing is you're going to have 7,500, you'd have probably bit your hand off, wouldn't you? You go, yeah, that's what I want. So it's really cool, but make sure that you're celebrating those victories as well.
I do try to. My missus turns around to me and says those sorts of things, and I'm just like, well, yeah, great.
You get lost in the work, but no, that's all good, man. It just shows that you're still pushing and still doing it. So no, but thanks for giving me your time, man.
No worries.
Awesome. That's cool. So there it was, the Josh Astrop Podcast, episode number 115 with George Matthews. What a lovely guy. Really interesting to talk to George. Obviously has a wealth of knowledge in an area that I do not, so it's always nice to learn something new. His website is great. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Have a look. He covers quite a few different areas in there, so if you're not a producer, there is still information in there for you. Or if you are, or if you're a podcaster, if you're interested in podcasting, or you're a musician, like I say, it covers a few areas. Click the link, have a look around. There is loads and loads of free information. So you don't have to spend any money if you don't want to. But if you are interested in taking it to the next level, he offers some products and services for that. So yeah, check the podcast show notes. Links to the things that we discussed are in there. Don't forget to head over to YouTube if you want to watch the podcast. However, in this episode, I tried out a new camera, and unfortunately, it only recorded half of the podcast, the video podcast. So it will be up as usual, but only half of it will be visual, and the rest will be just an image with the audio. So, but that still gives you a better insight in terms of what we were talking about for the first half of the show. But you live and you learn. Lesson learn. Always have a backup video recording. So yeah, I don't think that detracts at all from what we spoke about. So head over to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Just look for the Josh Astrop Podcast. If you're listening on iTunes, don't forget to subscribe so that every Wednesday, when we upload a new episode, it automatically downloads. Now, subscribers get the podcast a few hours before people that just search for it or wait for me to post when it's available. That's just how it works with iTunes. As soon as I upload it, iTunes automatically pushes that to subscribers. Whereas if you're just searching for it in iTunes, it takes a few hours to appear as a search result. So subscribe, get it first. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Join the Facebook group. Come into the group, be a member, and there'll be some exclusives coming up soon. I'm working on some merch available to group members only initially. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, George, for giving us your time. Clearly a very busy guy, but very intelligent and knowledgeable about what he's working on. So that is always interesting to hear. I've been Josh Astrop. This is the Josh Astrop Podcast, episode number 115 with George Matthews. We will see you next Wednesday.